Space launch canceled again due to a fuel leak. When will NASA try again to send the rocket to the moon?
Now, I know I can see what y'all can't, but not a one scientist in the world has looked up in the sky and realized that that is an atom, that is an atom in the sky.
You know, every 6 months goes by, and then you see a headline, astrophysicists have to rethink the Big Bang, or Big Bang is debunked, or did you see any of these at any time?
Oh my God, the James Webb Telescope debunked the Big Bang?
Yeah, it makes excellent clickbait.
Yeah.
There it is.
But after recording myself every day, paying attention to my way, I found all the things that I needed to know.
And we can measure it. Here's the point. If tomorrow you have a new idea about how the universe works, it's going to enclose everything we've been talking about up to that moment that has been experimentally and observationally verified.
That way youth can see the truth and understand things that are right under your nose and tooth. What are the odds that my childhood baby photo match the actual sun card? Now, let's just play a game. The game is called What Are the Odds? What are the odds that when I was a baby that this picture was taken, and I find out 37 years later that it's of the actual sun card? And photos match the white light right here in my height. That's why I was able to establish the tools, I was able to fight the duels and establish the rules. Why I want to show you all the things that are not just new jewels, but ancient tools that have been blocked from use. Now, remember this name. Jaya-ah. Jaya-ah. Ha, as in ha. Ha, the dark star. Ja. J-A-G. J-A-H. Flip it around, don't you see? You're looking at the Messiah. Ja. Ji. Ya. Ah. Ha. Ahas. Nobody realized that? How is that so? I'm just curious. But enjoy the show, because now you know. Today is the day where I make this announcement to you in this way, publicly, because I've been doing it privately, comfortably. It's a lot of guilt building up as I turn on the news and see the same things that people choose.
When the crime scene tape goes up, it's almost always tied to something awful.
I've never seen anything like this in my 28 years in law enforcement.
Police say it all began with the car in the drive-thru.
So the driver of that vehicle was upset because the order wasn't what he ordered. They pulled him out of the vehicle as quickly as they could.
That's where the situation went sideways.
One of the officers noticed a firearm coming out the vehicle, and he was able to deflect it, but the firearm did go off and went into the awning here at the McDonald's.
And the shooter,
the person that pulled that trigger, was 4 years old.
The sheriff just can't believe it.
Just think the gravity of that. A 4-year-old was told, we believe, by the father to pull the trigger and shoot a police officer.
A tall order to get over what happened here.
That's just unbelievable to me. Somebody's taught him that.
Now, before I continue, do me a favor and pay attention to the background while I'm talking, because more often than not, you will see seraphim, little orbs of light, flying past my pit or out of my body, which is why I need your help for more to see, that we continue to grow and be as a whole. Now, some of the things that you're going to see were shocking to me too at first. Even thought it was a curse. But what I've come to know is that this was scheduled in this time, just like many other things in the timeline.
And then I learned again.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
the Mott, the Pot, the Amun-Re, because my resurrection happened before today.
So whether you're new age or nostalgic, or if you just prefer the present moment, don't worry, there's a place for you.
This is a depiction of Christ. Most paintings depicting like saints or divinity.
Here to visualize a bowl full of water into which 3 pebbles are dropped. As the ripples created by the simultaneous entry of the 3 pebbles radiate outward towards the rim of the bowl, visualize that the surface of the water is suddenly flash frozen, so that the ripple pattern is preserved instantly. The ice is removed, leaving the 3 pebbles still laying at the bottom of the bowl. Then the ice is exposed to a powerful, coherent source of light, such as a laser. The result will be a 3-dimensional model or representation of the position of the 3 pebbles suspended in midair.
Carrying prayers and blessings of the living with the souls of the dead on the sunbow.
Now notice my hand, God's hand, extending the hand, the dove. Do you see me pointing at Rahu, reminding myself to say peekaboo?
You know, if you can wake up, you should. Because, you know, someday, you know, you won't be able to. So just, but it's easy.
There are two kinds of sufferers in this world. Those who suffer from a lack of life and those who suffer from an overabundance of life. I've always found myself in the second category. When you come to think of it, almost all human behavior and activity is not essentially any different from animal behavior. The most advanced technologies and craftsmanship bring us, at best, up to the super chimpanzee level. Actually, the gap between, say, Plato or Nietzsche and the average human is greater than the gap between that chimpanzee and the average human. The realm of the real spirit, the true artist, the saint, the philosopher, is rarely achieved. Why so few? Why is world history and evolution not stories of progress, rather this endless and futile addition of zeros? No greater values have developed. Hell, the Greeks 3,000 years ago were just as advanced as we are. So what are these barriers that keep people from reaching anywhere near their real potential? The answer to that can be found in another question, and that's this. Which is the most universal human characteristic? Fear or laziness?
Right here, the star in the center of the whole. Understand, that is that solar system. That is the copper dome of the dome. Even though I don't know how it's happening, nor do you. That's the part we're supposed to figure out during this time while I'm back on my throne. My remote transmitter. And that's going to create a lot of jobs, not even just where you live, but everywhere outside of this dome. And those will be domes just like those thrones. That reminded me of the nose of the gnomes. And that's why I'm gonna show you Cherokee Shaman King so you know where I be. But also seeing divine fish flow in the waters, going on to seek. Showing you all of the doggone and the dog star. Those of you that are talking about God, don't you understand that's the dog, the D-O-G in reverse? The dog star is Star Sirius. Don't you understand why I'm so serious? This is me showing you things as I watch them in live action, recorded just like now, in separate factions. And then the actions that have already happened of me. That way you'll see exactly who it is you're speaking with. And that is Maitreya Buddha. All and every emanations of the royal blue soul of gold that I hold. That way you can leave here whole with a crystallized soul. Okay? You'll understand more of that as we continue and go through the evolution of all of you. And go through the evolution of all of you. Because that's what I'm about. Now, take your doubt and go to every video on the channel so you can see not just the seraphim flowing around my home, or the cherubim floating out of my soul space on its own, to let you know that second coming is now, and I will continue to show you how. What? You're wondering who would have the audacity to make such a claim, huh? Someone telling the truth, and someone who definitely did not want to announce this, and was gonna just try to quietly keep it inside while I notate everything on my ride and posting it online for whenever you all find. But after I see more that I continue to see, it's made me want to speed up the process, which is by making sure you know who I be and allowing you to see everything through the synchronicity. That's why things are the way they are, my avatar body.
In the center of an atom is a nucleus. This is made up of even smaller or subatomic particles called protons and neutrons. The protons each carry a positive electrical charge. The neutrons are as heavy as protons but carry no charge. This means that overall the nucleus is positively charged. Now the electrons are moving at incredible speed, in fact 3/4 of the speed of light.
Again. and I was shook at first until I took a deeper look. There's nothing that I say that I cannot prove, so I welcome doubt, because I can cancel it quickly with authentic video and thought. My remote transmitter. Oh my goodness. Do you know what I just realized? Oh, shit. Okay. Talk about truth coming through in every way, just like I say. That was one of the orders that I placed right here from the 7th day. This is where I placed that order. That primordial order, placed that order. That way, I could bounce that quarter off that axis like a Braxis. Ah. All right, focus on your hocus pocus, which is the truth, showing the root. I'm glad I said to keep my hocus pocus focused. At the beach, when I was looking up, catching Rahu, stuck, looking up like it's stuck. Started the year right there, still air. Let me show you some more. Everywhere, because I just realized that my twin flame during this incarnation, her mother gave me all these Egyptian pictures that looked like they were as old as scriptures, and they came from her eldest son, who she's most proud of because he was military like my father during this one. And oddly enough, I kept saying, are you sure? Because, these are really like the real material, from Egypt. You don't want to give it away, but I would love to have it, And I've never thought anything of it. But clearly I did. That's why I stuck it. So I could let you know that I'm speaking crystal clear through the 7th dimension. And did I mention that those sun rays that come from me, see the sun shine in, that you see shining 7-3? Just like you love to watch these movies that are coming out right now. Avatar and The Matrix. Not even realize that you need to have more patience because you're not looking around and paying attention to all the things that go down because you're so consumed with consuming everything that's not me. And that's why you won't have eternity.
And as the dark body passes in front of the sun, it's engulfed in massive tendrils.
Because I'm in a bubble, in a nebula that you don't see. But that's part of that trinity that you will learn from me. But for now, let's focus on my soul leaving the body. Because over the past few years, I had nothing but tears. First of fear, then of cheers, and I realized that I had no need for any of that here. Because I had done enough rituals to walk back into myself. 7-3, that's the sunshine. But really, that's my divine head, the Godhead. And why you see those lines that are projecting like I said. Crystallined in my body, so divine. And that's why I'm back this time, to make sure you know the truth as I sit here at my booth, where often I enter and rap to the center. WRAP, writing with unity. That way you can see. And that's why so many aren't going back to work just yet, because I've been taking care of their debt. Remember when I say all of those families who had to pay those tolls, all of those families that have been reincarnated and continue to be unable to see their history, which is why they continue to suffer to the next incarnation, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. In that loop, that's part of this algorithm's goop.
What happens is the moon shows up in the company of terrestrial objects you are familiar with. Buildings, mountains, trees. You know how big those are. Okay?
Fascinating.
And then the moon is hanging out with them. And so your brain is saying, wait a minute. Is it really there, or is that it? No, but and while your brain is trying to figure this out, your brain starts thinking the moon is huge, huger than at any other time in the sky. The sun isn't actually yellow; it's yellow on the horizon because the atmosphere is affecting the color. Point is, this is a moon on horizon illusion, and people say, "I saw such a big moon last night." I'm saying, no, you didn't. You only thought it was big. Last point about the moon on the horizon. Okay, what's throwing off your depth cues is the full moon mixed in with other things that are familiar to you, as I've already said.
Correct, okay.
If you have the full moon rising over a horizon for which you have no depth cues, the effect is greatly diminished, and in fact, it's hardly there at all.
Oh.
For example, the moon rising at sea. Over the open ocean, there's no trees, there's no buildings, there's nothing. So that effect is greatly diminished. And you want to know how to get rid of the effect entirely? Here's what you do. There's the large moon on the horizon, next to the buildings and things. Turn around Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. With your back to the moon.
Okay.
Bend over.
Uh-huh.
And look at the moon upside down through your legs. Don't pull down your drawers when you're doing this, because then you'll be mooning the moon. If you do this, then the buildings on the horizon and the trees are upside down. And your brain says, I don't know what that is. I don't know what upside down. I don't know what that is.
A lack of reference causes your brain to see the moon the way it is, instead of causing it to make the association to the size of the things surrounding it.
I'm talking about the full moon here. Is always opposite the sun. All right? That's why it's full. It's full frontal to the sun from our point of view on Earth. In the summertime, the sun it takes this very high arc across the sky. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then when the sun sets, it takes a very low arc beneath the horizon, because it doesn't stay down there very long. Well, if it takes a low arc on the horizon, if you have full moon, the full moon will be opposite it and will also be in a low arc. June, when the full moon rises, it stays low in the sky. Wait a minute. The full moon in June stays low on the sky, and it holds on to those sort of sunset amber colors? It takes on a kind of a honey color?
The dove, the twin, the Gemini within, born on a honeymoon in June. Don't you remember? That's why my birthday would never be in December, because every one of my embers are in June, reminding you of the spiral of life in the proper direction in the mix. On the Jesus piece, for the 4 things that I even realized were part of these. And now I see it's all me.
It's 3 o'clock.
Because it's 3. It's a trinity, and that's me. So again, let's start this video at 3. Because we're at 2:44 and I'm at the core, and I'm reminding you of more, and that's for sure. And oh my goodness, I've never been someone that was a rhymer. That's why I cannot believe I do. But it's automatic rhyming in front of you. Spiritual, Egyptian, inscription, encryption, diction.
Oh. Of all the moons of the year, and they all have names, the name of the full moon in June is the honeymoon. Every full moon has a name. You've heard of some, the harvest moon. And they're all cultural and regional, by the way, depending on what mattered. Earth isn't, people say, I want to go into space. Just stand on Earth. You're in space. All right. So Earth is in space, and there's a shadow that's always there cast by the sun. Okay? Now you have the moon orbiting the Earth, and occasionally the moon will enter that shadow, blocking the light of the sun from the fully illuminated moon, and we have a lunar eclipse. Sunlight tries to get around to the other side by working its way through Earth's atmosphere. So the light sort of disperses and refracts a little.
Almost like a filter.
Doesn't mean you now get to take the word and create a whole system of cultism around the word that someone badly chose.
You know why? Because they lose every time they try, which is why I-L will be the reason why you burn in hell. And I told you there wasn't even one designed in this system where I prism.
They are all one people, connected by the world spirit in an infinitely expanding plane of human compassion. See the big hits. Feel 100 different hands on your body, imparting a blessing of forgiveness and gratitude. Brought to you by the official feathered serpent god, Quetzalcoatl.
Black Adam, what have your powers ever given to you?
I was a slave until I died. Then I was reborn a god. My son sacrificed his life to save me. Now, I kneel before no one. In this world, there are heroes. I feel the pain in my city wherever I go. And there are villains. Heroes don't kill people.
they who continue to lie, I have now returned to be able to speak the letter from I. Through every dimension I mention, you will suffer over, through, under, by, forever. Aeon, the reverse of unity. Burning, lost with no soul, never able to be whole. You and generations forever of your family stole. Order placed, faced, fear, and never let it hear. Now, I need you to scroll around and look at every video I posted or put down, because in them you'll find answers thousands of years old, and only I could have told.
So you know, not only intuitively, but your brain is doing subliminal calculations about how big something would actually be if it were right in front of you, for how small it is for how far away you see it.
I'm in a taunting kind of mood, so hopefully you don't find this rude. No amount of money you ever spend will ever lend the hand that I serve, which is why all of you will continue to swerve, and that all will be determined at the end, where I will mend everything that you must learn in order to be worthy of what you earn.
Stayed with the Earl of Leicester's estate until 1980, when it finally went up for auction. Oil tycoon Armand Hammer bought it that year, and 14 years later, Gates bought it at another auction. It's the only one of Da Vinci's notebooks that's still in private hands today. There are about 360 illustrations inside these pages.
And one of the most important things you need to know is that clearly, if people pay hundreds of $millions for my codices, there are things in these that they wish they understood but will never be's, because they're for me's. And about these, over years, think about all the times and the rhymes that people have used them past my lines. Just like anything I said after I was dead, that means you've been misled, correct? You understand that, right? And that's part of the fix that already began, which is why things have slowed down, and why you need to realize that I am on my throne and have never left my crown. That's how it always goes down. So remember while you're in your little town, following people and things that are not the truth, and things that will ever be lingering, like eternity or my rings. Rings that sing from the center of my brain, showing you the colors in your frame. That's Shiva, you know what I mean? And that's how you're gonna need to listen. Showing you the rings, vibrating just like you see the rosacea and the rosy cheeks on the Jesus piece. From the four things that I even realized were part of these. So when you see the Creator talking to you, do you think it's a coincidence that one of the richest men in the world spend their pearls trying to learn about mine? It doesn't matter if you're front gates, back gates, any kind of gate. Live behind the gate, build the gate, draw the gate, engineer the gate. There's nothing you can do that won't be late, because I am the state of create and the one who determines your fate. Keep in mind, the only way you'll find is through my design. Now, keep spending, and still you won't find, until I decide to share what's mine and have what's mine. And that's coming this time. Reminding you that nothing that you read line by line will ever help you learn as much as thine, because my water is the wine. Nobody realized that? This book is about water.
The sunboat of Ra was believed to carry the solar god across the heavens.
The sunboat is the picture you see right here of me sitting in my chair right there. And I'm right there, just like right there, like I am now. That's me sitting inside my body, projecting all the things you see that you think are the reasons are causing you to be free. But it's actually me.
The sunboat is also the ship in which the gods traveled from the heavens to Earth. When it was used to travel between the worlds, the sunboat is called the boat of 1,000,000 years.
And that's the boat you see right here, and me sitting, just like my chair right there. Do you see? Just like my chair right there.
Amun-Ra was also popular in Nubia and was the chief deity of the Nubian kingdom of NÄRT during the 25th dynasty.
You see how she said 25th? That's the 7, reminding you of that 7 on 7.
The Greeks associated Ra with Zeus.
The 7 on 7, the 14 is the 5, and that 5 is the champion in 2012. But I told you it was mirrored, so I could remember myself. Just in time. Now, back to sleep, where I churn. And you learn. You are looking at the Messiah.
Thanks to telescopes, we have seen some truly unbelievable and amazing places in our universe. We introduce you to such a place, a distant nebula called the Witch-Head Nebula, which looks eerily like a woman's face deep within the cosmos. Our universe is full of stars, just like our sun. Just like everything else, these stars die with great explosion called a supernova, and as a result, large amount of gas and dust are thrown out. These distinct bodies of giant clouds of dust and gas, which are thus formed, are called as nebulae. The nebula then acts as a cradle for many new baby stars. It was nicknamed the Witch Head because it looks like a profile of a wicked witch right out of a fairy tale. Located about 900 light years from Earth.
So she just said that it's located about 900 light years away, and you can't see it unless it's a star, and you can't see it unless a star is nearby enough to reflect its light so that you can see the nebula, and you only see me in the frame. What does that tell you? That's what that is, because you're looking at the star talking to you as I drive this car, and that's where you are. In the dog star system, the Sirius system. Let's go to the next screen. What are the odds that when I raise my arms up in the sky, that the face appears and the clouds part in the sky, showing you the face and her how high, the moon, showing you the twin within, and not too soon, a moon.
And about 50 light years long, the Witch-Head Nebula is a reflection nebula. It means that this giant cloud is illuminated by nearby stars, so the nebula is basically reflecting the light emitted by the stars.
Now, if I just told you and showed you that I'm the dog star, as I zoomed into my soul and showed you my whole car. So Sirius, the dog star, God, the dog, the D-O-G, the dog, the God star. You understand the reverse of that? That's what that is, because you're looking at the star talking to you as I drive this car, and that's where you are. In the dog star system, the Sirius system. They say the Witch-Head Nebula cannot be seen because it's... So when you see the planetarium's diagram and NASA's diagrams show you what the rainbows and colors of light look like when you're face on to the Milky Way, and you see me standing in front of the fire and it's reflecting it just like you see mirrored there, like an ire, wires of an iron. Do you see inside her? What are the odds? How is that happening? Do you understand? My resurrection already happened. I've been saying it for a couple years now. So maybe a physicist or someone will open their ears and see how, and teach us all more as I show from the core.
Life would still never have formed without a complex series of processes inside stars that converted helium and hydrogen into heavier elements like carbon that form the basis of all living beings.
There's a sort of obsession in physics, which is to try to unify
things, to simplify complicated phenomena into one sort of single underlying phenomena. And that's true with the forces particularly. And unifying the different forces in physics has been a sort of ongoing quest since Maxwell unified electricity and magnetism in his equations back in the 19th century. So this is a rather confusing graph, unfortunately. I don't know why it's produced this way, but it's upside down. But basically what you've got here, this axis is the strength of the three different forces in the standard model, except they get stronger as you go down rather than going up. But don't worry about that too much. Now, if you do experiments and measure the strength of these forces, what you find, rather curiously, is that the strength of the forces change as you go higher and higher in energy. So that basically means if you have some collider and you bash particles into each other, the harder you hit them into each other, the forces, the strength of these forces alter, essentially. And what you see in the standard model, if you do experiments at higher and higher energies, and these are energies that are way higher than we can actually produce in an experiment, but this is done with theoretical calculations, you find that at some very, very high energy scale, there is a point where these three lines, the electromagnetic force, the weak force, and the strong force, sort of come together a bit, but not quite. If you introduce supersymmetry, these lines meet rather exactly at a particular place, labeled unification. And this suggests that with supersymmetry, these three forces are unified into some single overlying force, which possibly should be called the force. And so that's another reason for liking supersymmetry. It unifies these three apparently disparate forces into one. Actually, we've already unified these two. That's partly what the Higgs is involved in, but never mind about that. It's just a strong force. The other thing that reason to like supersymmetry is that we now double the number of fundamental particles to discover, so people like me are kept employed for a very long time. So that's good.
Have you ever analyzed pictures or video of yourself and wondered how you were actually in the photo? So that's why ascension is so important to pay attention to as they're trying to create different verses and curses to make sure that you don't realize how much you are worth it. That's why things are the way they are. Like, what is going on here? Then I realized that when I saw myself projecting on my computer that day and I was so scared trying to figure out what it was, then I realized it was me driving my soul, since nobody realizes that's Pacao. ÂH0Li, the ÂH0Li is how. And that's now, and that's the 10 card. X marks the spot. X marks the spot. Mark in the Bible. Mark in the Bible is the moon, do you understand? The moon is also what you see at my mirror, which is also the Holy Grail. That's why you see me connecting Lion of Judah, projecting from the side, Lion's Pride from the side at the 5-5, technically at the 4-4 because that's my 4-door, and that's the corridor.
The sun and moon come together to help tell the time.
I don't know a single scientist who would disagree with the statement that the world is exceedingly ingenious. Not just mathematical, not just beautiful, not just elegant, but the manifestation of something truly extraordinary.
Okay.
1 in a quintillion. That's how precise things had to be for us to be here.
But even though the Big Bang was perfectly calibrated, intelligent life would never have formed if matter had spread evenly across the universe.
So we needed slight irregularities in the distribution of matter in the universe. Had those irregularities been much smaller, stars and galaxies wouldn't have formed. Had they been much larger, everything would have collapsed.
But even with the right distribution of matter throughout the universe, how could this extraordinary fine-tuning of the universe be anything less than unmistakable evidence of a divine creator?
Most physicists' take on this is actually not to go in that direction. When you see something that's finely tuned in physics, it usually means there's a mechanism that you don't yet understand that is playing a role there.
That's why I am and why I'm allowing you to see.
But the HÄTH Nebula is extremely difficult to spot, even with the telescope, as it is very faint. The nebula has a distinct blue color, partly due to the blue color of its star, and partly as a result of dust particles within the nebula, reflecting blue light more efficiently than the red. A similar process is responsible for making our sky appear blue. such a wonderful nebula. The universe never ceases to surprise us. As they say, the universe is infinite, and so is its innumerable wonders.
Last take I didn't get to do what I meant to do. Hey you guys, welcome to the channel. This is Universe Soul University, where I teach you about your soul. Not about yourself, about your soul. One day, this will be your campus, where it looks like a spa. That way you can know who you are. Yeah. Because your soul is the only way that you'll be whole. And the way that you can be whole is by knowing how to communicate with your soul. And how am I going to do that? By walking you through my reincarnation experience. That way you know where to go.
Showing you all the things you've never seen.
And super clean without a green screen. You catch that? So, back to your welcome package.
This one's for the cynical, so I'm keeping it minimal. If you lie to your eyes, the truth will remain in disguise. Watch me control the smoke, and try not to do what I just said.
The transmutation process is the smoke that you see swirling before my face. Swirling before my face. Swirling before my face. As this swirl continues to spiral, and becoming a thunderstorm across your screen, now clearing the way for my conversation. Now clearing the way for my conversation.
Tradition tells us that the army of the Messiah is not to come from heaven, but is to arise from inner earth.
That's why I'm sublime. And this will be how I wish for you to have truly grown. I'm willing you're healing, because that should be the feeling. I'm willing you're healing, because that should be the feeling. I'm hoping you're feeling all of the healing. That'll remind you again who it is you're speaking with.
Krishna or Maitreya Buddha or the Christ, the Messiah, all these names apply to him.
And most people are going to learn things that they've been waiting to know for so long, because I am the intersection of religion and science, the actual intersection. You're looking at it. Never forget my name, because nothing in your life will ever be the same. You better get up to date, and I ain't gonna talk to you like this every time, but don't get it twisted. I'm gonna give it to you just like this whenever I need to, because if you ain't paying attention and you sitting there praying in the wrong direction, if you are not paying attention to all the opposites that they have laid in front of you, and if you don't back it up and see what the hell I've been talking about from the get-go, because that's what they've been trying to keep you from. That's why they pulled all those different things out the Bible. That's why they don't talk about that in reincarnation. That's why they don't even know no good about this and the third. If I were you, I would Google, try to figure out what no is true, get your prophecy information up to date, and if you're over here listening to them fools that say that, oh, it ain't got nothing to do with Hopi and this and the third, I'm not here to debate with you. I'm here to crystallize your soul. I'm here to merge and give you clarity, and if that's a problem for you, carry on. Because all of that is on me and temporarily free.